Yep.
Thank you. So, today's speaker is me. So I first learned about spiritualism back in the 70s, and I took classes in healing and meditation at the Berkeley Psychic Institute, also known as the Church of Divine Man. So I have certifications in level 2 Reiki, spirit portrait art, and I also teach laughter yoga. I was going to make you laugh instead of that song, but anyway. We do laugh anyway here usually, so that's good. And I have some other exercise certifications and work with people, seniors mostly. So I feel like my life purpose is to enhance the lives of others through spiritual healing, mediumship, and my artwork. And that's pretty much it. My favorite sayings, I have two favorite sayings. Laughter is the best medicine, and we rise by lifting others. So, a lot of you know that March is my favorite month, which is why I usually talk in March. And if you've heard this before, that's sorry. Okay, first is kind of the beginning of spring. And hopefully the snows and the cold weather subside. The trees start to show a bit of green, and we see the first flowers popping up. Crocus, snowdrops, and of course, daffodils. That's one of my favorites. Secondly, there are so many important dates to recognize. We have International Women's Day on the 8th, followed by my birthday on the 9th. St. Patrick's Day on the 17th. Hydesville Day on March 31st, which marks the beginning of modern spiritualism. And this whole month is Women's History Month. So I've also learned about a bunch of other important birthdays in March. Deanna, who's not here, Dawn, birthday. Phil is the same day as me. That's great. We just found that out recently. And Kim. You have a birthday later? No, the other Kim. I'm sorry. I was when I wrote this down, I knew it wasn't you, and then I was looking at you because Kim is not here either. So Kim's birthday is later. She's usually here, but anyway. And then my friend's daughter just had a birthday, or a baby on my birthday. So wow, what a great month, right? There's probably some other people. Anybody else have a March birthday?
My ex-father-in-law, he passed, but yeah, his was on your birthday.
On my birthday.
And
see, it's a good day. March 9th.
ex-husband, good
So
friends.
I usually volunteer to speak in March because I like to celebrate women, and I learn a lot when I'm researching about the accomplishments women have made in the world and the spiritualist movement. However, when deciding what to speak about today, as Stephen had asked me what image I wanted to put on the little post, I decided about daffodils, which I said is one of my favorite flowers. They're the flower for March, and they symbolize new beginnings, hope, and rebirth. So that's kind of fitting for changing from winter into spring, but that thought wouldn't leave my head. So I decided that's what I need to talk about. New beginnings, hope, and rebirth. I think they're very important in today's world. So, new beginnings, we usually think about new beginnings happening in the new year. But we can begin anew anytime, hence the saying, today is the first day of the rest of your life, which you've probably heard. Spring is the new beginning for Mother Gaia, with signs of new life everywhere. So I want you to just resolve to start something new this spring. That's your homework. Rebirth. Spirit has brought my attention to things that I feel I'm supposed to relate to you, and I saw this article called Rebirth of the World. And I apologize, I didn't write down where it came from, so I don't have the source to credit, and I was going to try to look that up, and I didn't, so I don't know where it came from. But I've heard other people, spiritual friends, relating similar ideas. So, the rebirth of the world. What if humanity isn't just on the verge of collapse, but on the verge of something else entirely? Every ancient civilization tells the same story. They rise, They reach a peak of knowledge and power, and then poof, they're gone. Atlantis, the Sumerians, the Indus Valley, Egypt before the pharaohs, the Mayans, the cycle repeats. Some say that we destroy ourselves once we reach a certain level, whether through war, technology, or pure arrogance. We trigger our own reset. A great flood, a fire from the sky, a global collapse, we fall and time buries the evidence. But what if some civilizations don't collapse? What if the real pattern isn't extinction, but transition? We call it transitioning when we go to the other spirit world. So what if the whole society transitions? Maybe history books look empty because those who passed the test simply left. Not in spaceships, not in ruins, but in evolution itself, spiritual, physical, or something as odd as escaping the simulation. Maybe at a certain point of understanding, like when a species masters energy, consciousness, and true nature of reality, it stops needing to play the physical game and moves on. What if that's the real reason we don't see others out there? The ones who survived didn't stay in the sandbox. They became something else. So I thought that was very interesting. Then we have hope. And I left hope for the last because that's what I want to leave you with, is hope. The conversation with my daughter has given me a sense of hope that I feel I used to have, but I kind of forgotten about. Many people over the years and in all corners of the earth have endured countless hardships while living in difficult situations. However, they have survived through uplifting each other, creating avenues that support each other, whether overt or covert. I'm thinking of Harriet Tubman, or so many examples of that. I also find hope in seeing others take the initiative to lift others through reaching out through their blogs and their podcasts, and there's a lot on the internet. I mean, there's a lot of awful crap on the internet, but there's a lot of good stuff that I've been seeing, and they seem to be popping up. Examples, Deanna has a new podcast called Dreamweavers Pod, and Brandy Remington, who has spoken here a couple of times, she has a new podcast called This Is What Love Looks Like. And I'm sure there's a lot of others. I just Googled something like how to survive in a chaotic society or something like this. Google anything and you'll find a lot of things there. And Deanna actually does interviews, and she asked me if I wanted to be interviewed, so I'll probably be on that at some point. And then, so I talked about laughter yoga, and I'm a laughter yoga leader. And the person that started laughter yoga is a medical doctor from India. His name is Dr. Madan Kataria. We call him Dr. K for obvious reasons. It's too hard to say all that. So he has a diary, and he writes things out, and he wrote this shortly after the terrorist attacks on the city of Mumbai several years ago. And it's entitled The Positive Side of Terror Attacks by Dr. Madan Kataria. This can pertain to all kinds of situations, not just terror attacks. Though deeply affected by all that's happening around me, I still look for something positive and some streak of goodness that can emerge in the face of crisis. As they say, there is always some good that comes out of the bad. I'm a born optimist and designed to look at the brighter side of life. So what is good about terror attacks? Here are some of my thoughts and feelings that I would like to share with you. We are all connected. These kinds of attacks show that all of us are extremely vulnerable. A terror attack can strike anyone and anywhere in the world. No matter how strong or weak a country we might be, We are all vulnerable to the consequences of terrorism and militancy. Be it in New York, Mumbai, Iraq, Afghanistan, or any other place, the whole world gets affected in some way or the other by these terror attacks. Whether or not we are directly involved in the violence, we pay the price if we are not united against these negative forces. War brings need for peace. Each terror attack makes us stronger and brings us closer to world peace. It is seen that when under a terror crisis, the whole world becomes one. It brings out the best qualities of unconditional love, compassion, kindness, and generosity towards fellow human beings, no matter which region or country they belong to. It takes a crisis of this dimension to bring nations together and work in harmony to create a kind of oneness which never happens under normal conditions. Darkness disappears with light. Though negativity appears larger for the moment and the situation looks desolate and dreary, but when the whole world comes together, it seems to shrink away and appears very small. Every attack like this reduces it and strengthens the need for the positive forces to come together for survival of humanity. War brings more war. We can never win a war on terror. War can only bring more war. It is not the physical being that needs to be destroyed. It is the mind that needs to be enlightened. Love is the ultimate weapon that can remove darkness from this world. Problems can only be solved by the process of dialogue and taking measures to create a positive environment. The Laughter Yoga movement stands for bringing world peace through laughter. Breathing is part of Laughter Yoga, and it's a very powerful tool and life-giving force of the universe. We all breathe the same environment, and in a way, we're connected through breathing. I found this quote, I'm telling you, things just pop up when you're doing research. It just popped up there. It's a quote from a mass shooting survivor, Jennifer Bennett. It was at the Washington Navy Yard, Washington, D.C. in September of 2013. Bennett says, she has come to understand her purpose in life, to be what God asked me to be, and that is the light. You either present light so others are uplifted and see their value, or you become the darkness. And here's another little quote I found, Sheriff Noor. I will continue believing even when people lose hope. I will continue to love while others sow hatred. I will continue to build even when others destroy. I will continue talking about peace even in the midst of a war. I will continue to illuminate even in the midst of darkness. So how do we continue to have hope and not get lost in negative thoughts? I found this little method from Karma Gaia. Some of you may get those emails from Karma Gaia. The 3-3-3 method. How to shut down a spiral of negative thoughts in under a minute. This is good, because I like things that are quick. We've all been there. Your mind latches onto a worry, a fear, a criticism, and before you know it, you're caught in a whirlwind of negative thoughts that seem impossible to escape. Your heart races, your breathing quickens, and that spiral pulls you deeper by the second. What if you could break free in under a minute? Enter the 3-3-3 method, a simple, science-backed technique that can interrupt even the most stubborn thought spirals by engaging your senses and redirecting your brain's focus. This is how it works. By activating your sensory awareness, which pulls your brain's resources away from the default mode network, the brain region responsible for rumination and negative thought loops. Here's how to do it. Step 1, name 3 things you can see. You just look around your environment 3 specific objects. Don't just glance at them, but really see them. Notice the colors, the shapes, the details. For example, I see my blue coffee mug with steam rising from it. Or I see a pattern of light coming through the window. Whatever. Step 2, name 3 things you can feel. Focus on physical sensation. This grounds you in your body and away from the abstract thoughts causing distress. For example, I feel the smooth texture of my desk under my palms. I feel the weight of my feet pressing against the floor. Anything. Notice physical sensations. And step 3, name 3 things you can hear. Listen for sounds in your environment, both obvious and subtle ones. This expands your awareness beyond your internal dialogue. Example, I hear the hum of the refrigerator, or I hear the people next door. I hear the birds chirping outside my window. I even hear the sound of my own breathing. So why it works, this method works through 3 powerful psychological mechanisms: pattern interruption, by forcing a new mental task, you break that repetitive thought. Sensory grounding, connecting your immediate sensory experience anchors you to the present moment. And attention redirection. The brain cannot fully focus on 2 demanding mental tasks simultaneously. So it reduces your resources available for negative rumination. When to use it? It's versatile. Anxiety spikes before an important meeting, rumination about past mistakes, catastrophic thinking about potential future problems, emotional overwhelm, racing thoughts at bedtime, whenever you're spiraling in the down spiral. So it's not a replacement for professional help, obviously, but it can be helpful. So remember, with regular practice, you can train your brain to break free from thought loops more easily, creating lasting resilience against negative thinking patterns. Speaking of resilience, that popped out to me, I would like to play a song, which I had already thought about playing, which is called Resilient. And if I can get everything to work right, and I don't know if it'll show up well on the video, but we'll see. So, let's see if I can make this work. I need a tech person here to have things ready for me. I never thought about that. I have it queued up, so hopefully it's going to work. Is my thing still on? No. It shuts itself off.
Battery 90%. Connected to iPhone 7 6.
And I brought this because it's got a beautiful video that goes along with it. Which I kind of wanted you to see.
LAPTOP94T88OGM.
Okay, we got you. Oh, I'm always trying to do this as a touch screen and it isn't. Anybody else do that? Is it too high?
No, it's good.
Is it okay?
I am resilient. I trust the movement. I negate the chaos. Uplift the negative. I'll show up at the table again and again and again. I'll close my mouth and learn to listen. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. Whoa, whoa, oh, oh. These times are poignant. The winds have shifted. I'm made of thunder, I'm made of lightning, I'm made of dirt, yeah, made of the fine things. My father taught me that I'm a speck of dust and this world was made for me, so let's go and try our luck, say. I've got my roots down, 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 down deep. I've got my roots down, 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 down deep. I've got my roots down, down, down deep. I've got my roots down, down, down deep. So what are we doing here? What has been done? What are you gonna do about it when the world comes undone? My voice feels tiny, and I'm sure so does yours. Put us all together, make a mighty I am resilient, I trust the movement, I negate the chaos, uplift the negative, I'll show up at the table